maybe one of the reasons why Nigerians may not take it lightly with your government is some of the promises your party made prior to 2015 election. And I'll read out portion of the promises of the party in the manifesto. The party did say there will be generation and transmission and distribution of at least 20,000 megawatts of electricity within 4 years and increasing up to 50,000 megawatts with a view to achieving 24/7 uninterrupted power supply within 10 years. Honorable Minister, let me show you quickly this information that we got from the TCN showing the scale of what you met prior to 2015 and what is on the ground. It did show us that the distribution capacity at 2014, 3,500 megawatts, is now 5,000 megawatts in 2018. Transmission capacity at 5,000 megawatts to 8,000 megawatts in 2018, and generation capacity from 4,000 megawatts in 2014 to 7,500 megawatts. Those are correct, isn't it?
Essentially, those are the numbers that come out from our data because it's open.
But if you take your party on the promises made, is that not far away? Too much of promises and perhaps less that has been achieved.
Sheung, I think that it is time to come down to the reality and the bolts and nuts of governance. It is, in fact, aspirational to say we want to get here. It's aspirational. We want to get here. And if we haven't reached there, it doesn't mean that we haven't made a legitimate effort. It also doesn't mean that progress has not been made. It doesn't mean that progress hasn't been made. And you will be the last to deny, as a consumer yourself, you know your experience, but this is not your place to talk. This is my place to explain what we're doing. So, and that means that Nigerians have to make a choice. Do you want to go back to the run rate of 250 megawatts a year, or do you want to keep on a run rate of 1,000 megawatts that is continuing? So we have Kashimbila power plant essentially finished. We have Gurera power plant essentially finished. We have Afan power plant almost finished. Kaduna, we have recovered the equipment. 2 turbines are firing. Out of 37 turbines on the Katsina wind farm, 15 are already working. Do you want to stop that? That's a choice that Nigerians have to make in deciding where to choose going forward.
Honorable Minister, we have local meter manufacturers tested and some way, a lot of people say can be trusted. They claim to be ready to meet the metering gap. Why is federal government not allowing them to bridge that gap?
I think the way you frame the questions perhaps does not demonstrate that you are conversant with the policies on ground. The federal government is not standing in anybody's way. And let us go back to the basics. The people of Nigeria, you and I, represented by our elected legislators, made a policy shift in 2005 when we enacted the Electric Power Sector Reform Act. Essentially, the policy thrust was to take power away from government and let private sector deal with it. So on one hand, as a nation, we have said, let private sector deal with this thing. On the other hand, we are saying, government, do this. Government still has an enabling role, without doubt. So as I've told people, before 2013, when the privatization took place, the PHC and the Ministry of Power had over 50,000 staff. I now have less than 1,000 staff, 937, because those staff have been deployed or absorbed by the private sector operators. But we see meter as a problem. We hear citizens say, this is the big issue. Mind you, let us reiterate, why are people asking for meters? It is to measure energy. So if there was no energy, what's the craze for meters? So it validates my position that we have improved it. People are now saying it's too expensive. We want to know how we are being built. Again, we have done what we should do as a government. Government says my ministry is a policy articulator. So we've articulated a policy. Let meter providers come in. But it's a regulated industry. So the operator, NEC, the regulator, must make regulations. The meter regulations have now been made. 108 entrepreneurs have applied to be meter providers so that they will relieve or complement the efforts of the discos, who are the parties contractually bound, because that's what they signed to do. So that will take that, and between policy and impact, there's offtake.
All right. Minister,
So I hope that is clear.
Just a moment, because I have a follow-up to that, but we'll take a moment. But before we go on that break, we would like to engage our viewers on our weekly political puzzle. Our question for you, just to test how much of Nigerian politics that you know. This week, we want you tell us, when was Nigeria's first general elections conducted after independence of 1960? When was Nigeria's first general election after independence of 1960? Send your questions, your answer to politicstoday@channelstv.com. Maybe someone might win a prize or get something for that answer. We'll take a break, and when we come back, everyone, the Minister, Rajiv Fashola, will be telling us more on how the Buhari government hope to fix the power problems in Nigeria. The promises and the analysis of what they are doing gets our attention next. Join us.